Hello, beautiful humans. Yes, time for another episode of going into the energy centers, going into the chakras. And for today, I felt called to go into the second most important energy center to watch. The first most important energy center to watch was already the higher heart chakra. The higher heart chakra that sits right here under the collarbone. It is the duality or the personality or the ego, which we can transcend into our positive spiritual self. Now, we're going into the emotional solar plexus. And the emotional solar plexus is in the diaphragm. It is in the area of the pancreas, the nervous system. The kidneys are connected to it. And this is where we process our emotions. It is where we have emotional awareness, and it is connected to our conscious emotional body. The conscious emotional body, we are aware of the emotions that we are experiencing. Now, in this center, it works very tight with our higher heart chakra. In the old energy center system of 7 chakras, the higher heart chakra, the ego, the willpower center, was actually included into the solar plexus. And now that we are evolving, we have moved into a 9 energy center being with 9 centers inside of our body. And the solar plexus is still very much functioning together with this higher heart chakra that sits underneath the collarbone, the personality, who at times maybe takes things personal. And in this special moment in time, we need to get to a place inside of ourselves that does not take anything personal anymore. So emotional triggers are opportunities for ourselves to tune into that it is never the other. It is never just the other. It is never only the other. Everything is happening for us. It is not happening to us. And this is very important because we tend to take things personal, and what we do, we fall into empathy. It is with our emotional solar plexus that we can take something personal because we empathize ourselves with the emotion that we are feeling. And as soon as we start empathizing ourselves with it, what we actually do is we close off, we close and we implode. And the higher heart chakra, the personality, actually shuts down, and we start taking things personal. So in this moment in time and space, we should start taking nothing personal. Everything is happening for us. Nothing is happening to us. And how do we do this? We create a very strong connection between our emotional center in the diaphragm, the solar plexus, and the higher heart chakra. When this higher heart chakra stays open, we breathe and we feel it. And on the exhale, we set ourselves free. We move ourselves to seeing it. Seeing that it is not happening to us, it is happening for us. And it's happening for us, for all of us to learn and grow into knowing how to do things and better not knowing how not to do certain things. So with the solar plexus, you emotionally become aware of what is happening in your reality, and on the inhale you feel it, empathy, and on the exhale you can set yourself free to seeing it, compassion. Compassion stays warm and open. It does not close, it does not implode, it does not get triggered. If you are truly living in divine compassion, nothing will ever trigger you, because you have transcended the personality that tends to take things personal. So how do you transcend that personality into the person who doesn't take anything personal? Is just to constantly make a strong connection to your emotional creativity center, and to have an open higher heart chakra that constantly moves empathy, feeling it, into seeing it. And in humanity we have people who are emotionally defined. So it means that they have their own emotions and they constantly go through an emotional wave. And myself, for instance, I'm an open emotional person, which means my emotional solar plexus is white. it's open, and it functions as a shell that takes in information, and on the exhale sets itself free, which means it's a shell. If you are not aware of that emotional sensitivity, it sometimes becomes like a sponge. So I'm going to go through those two different types, where you either have people who have emotional authority. It means they always have authority in their emotions. And when you are emotional, you have to embrace your emotional creativity and your feelings constantly. You need to avoid compulsive decisions. Don't make decisions too fast. Because if you don't wait and don't allow yourself all the time and space you need, then you can make the decision too fast. So avoid making compulsive decisions and take the time and space you need for you to process your emotions. As you are passionate, and when you are passionate about life, about things, then you are in the right frequency, resonance, vibration. And that passion will also inspire others with that passion. So it's very, very important. For a closed emotional person, avoid dumping the emotions that you are experiencing onto other people. Now, if you are emotionally aware, you already kind of like have the awareness that you shouldn't be doing this, but it does happen a lot of the times with people who don't have that emotional awareness. So, and on the other side, we have emotionally open people. Emotionally open people mean that they have emotional sensitivity as their emotions. They are super sensitive, and they constantly take in the emotions from other people or from the collective, and they amplify these emotions back to the collective or back to the emotional person that they are in relationship with. So an open emotional person is emotionally sensitive, but does not go through a wave kind of like emotional authority. When you have this emotional sensitivity, it is very, very important to constantly be aware of your emotional empathy, because you are a very empathic personality that doesn't maybe always see himself or herself like that, but constantly move yourself from feeling it, empathy, into feeling it, seeing it, so that you see that it's not happening to you, but it's happening for you. And don't reinforce other people's emotions. Now, with these polarities coming together in humanity, in relationship, I wanted to give a few examples. If I would be, for instance, in a relationship with someone who has emotional authority, the person who has emotional authority could, for instance, be sleeping next to me. And in that process of sleeping together, it might be time for this person to have a nightmare, to relive a past life experience. And in that past life experience, I will be unconscious because I'm sleeping. And I will be taking in the emotional creativity from the nightmare, and I will be amplifying it. So this maybe first becomes a dream, and the dream goes into a nightmare, because the fear in the dream is going to be amplified, because that's the emotion that's going to be amplified. And that emotion keeps being amplified constantly throughout the night, which can make me wake up, for instance, in my emotional sensitivity from absorbing somebody else's nightmare, and then amplifying the nightmare back to the person who was experiencing the nightmare. Now, the other person might also wake up because their nightmare has been amplified through the roof, and it causes them to wake up in sweat and tears, for instance. So this emotional polarity at times requires space, at times also to sleep alone, because while we are sleeping, emotions can still be amplified. Amplification means they're becoming stronger. So a nightmare can become a nightmare because the dream moves into the nightmare, and the nightmare moves into a nightmare of sweat and tears. and then both people actually get disturbed into their night of rest, and sleeping is very important. Another example I can give, for instance, if an open emotional person goes to a new restaurant with a new menu with a person who is emotionally, and both of them go to a new restaurant with a new menu. Now I usually, because I have sacral authority, I usually in the now moment kind of like fast know what I want to eat, and then basically order what my intuition, my gut brain basically tells me what I want to eat. Now a person who has emotional authority, they need their own time and space to process their emotions into clarity. The wave might go up when they need to make a choice, and then only when the wave is in absolute clarity, then they're ready to make a choice that is in alignment for them. Now in this relationship, if you're sitting together on a table, what it could cause is that the emotion of undecisiveness might be coming up, and that is then the emotion that's going to be amplified. So whenever that happens, what I usually do is, when I feel that or when I sense that, is that I would say, I'm going to the bathroom to allow you your own space and your own aura to make the decision in your own time and space, and for you to process your emotions so that we can eventually order together and we can have dinner together, basically. And usually what happens, if I come back from the bathroom and the person has had her or his own time and space to process the emotions, they know what they want to eat, and we can order together. Another thing that I have experienced in relationships with this polarity is that I was in a relationship with a manifesting generator who was also emotional. At times, when I would already know what I wanted, and I would just go because that would bring me satisfaction, and I didn't want to wait, because that allowed me to go into my not self theme of frustration if I would be waiting on someone. So I would say I'm already going to travel, and whenever you feel ready to, join, then feel ready to join. And what usually happened is that she would not allow herself all the time and space for her to process her emotions, and she would compulsively make the decision, and that leads then also into the not self theme of feeling frustrated, anger, because this is also where we hold certain trapped emotions. The trapped emotions of frustration get stuck into the diaphragm area. It's also the emotion of anger that we hold in the diaphragm. Bitterness, disappointment. Other emotions that we trap there are fears. The fear towards not being good enough, inadequacy, that we can actually already take on from our parents while we are in our mother's womb, or ancestral lineage, where we take this emotional feeling, fear, over. In the center, we also have the ability to have the emotion of emptiness that leads to loneliness, trapped in the emotional solar plexus. Now, emptiness leads to loneliness, which a lot of people are struggling with. They feel they're doing life alone, but in reality they're never doing life alone. They're always doing life with their soul. They're always doing life with their higher self. They're always doing life with the feminine, the inner child, the masculine, and the inner spirit. So you're never really doing life alone. But due to moments in time and space where we didn't have an inner infant inside of ourselves that could be the inner infant to our inner child, therefore the child has sometimes mistaken its reality for feeling emptiness, and that led to the fearfulness towards loneliness. So other fears that we carry in the solar plexus would be the fear of our true nature, the fear towards stepping in our highest timeline, our highest light, love, and truth, because this again is where we process those emotions. We can also hold the emotion of being silenced trapped in our emotional solar plexus. If somebody tells us, can you shut up? Then that is a very obnoxious, hard way of telling somebody in a more conscious way, can you please be quiet? Now that trapped emotion of being silenced can stay stuck in the emotional solar plexus, and that allows the energy not to flow to its highest potential in the diaphragm area and the solar plexus. We also hold the fear towards having an intimate connection to our either emotional sensitivity, when your emotional solar plexus would be open, or we tend to hold the fearfulness towards having an intimate connection to our emotional creativity. If you hold the fear towards having an intimate connection to your emotional creativity, you might sometimes make compulsive decisions that then lead you into frustration, anger, bitterness, or resentment or disappointment, because you have not allowed yourself to take all the time and space you needed for you to process those emotions. If you have an open emotional sensitive system and you hold the fear towards having an intimate connection with your sensitivity there, maybe you are someone who had difficulties crying, which was for me the case, for instance, because a lot of men have been told that we shouldn't be crying. We're men, we can't express our emotions. So it is very important to also be aware that you can hold that fear towards having an intimate connection to your emotional sensitivity in that solar plexus. And another emotion that we can have trapped in the emotional solar plexus is the emotion towards tradition. If things become traditional or become like a tradition, we might want to push it away. If a relationship becomes traditional, maybe we want to end the relationship because it's like it's not exciting anymore. It became too traditional. Or if Christmas is a tradition that doesn't feel in alignment, you could say that you maybe want to push Christmas away because it doesn't feel in alignment anymore. While that fear towards tradition then also allows us not to have full acceptance, full forgiveness, and moving beyond and pure gratitude for everything. That everything is just happening exactly in the way the divine or the creator source has intended it to unfold, for all of us to learn and grow into knowing how to do things and knowing in how to not do certain things. And I had a question from someone about the gate 37. We're talking about already the fear of tradition, and the gate of 37, it has the desire to always be part of a group or a community. Now, this is a very important to also see that we can have the fear of tradition or all the other fears that I've just mentioned that come into this in relationships, because with the emotional solar plexus we create relationships. From the moment that we start connecting with someone, an invisible cord connects our solar plexus with each other, and we start exchanging information in this cord. The emotions that the other person is feeling, I'm feeling them, and I'm maybe exchanging something to the other person or amplifying it, which is something that happens through that cord that connects the solar plexus from myself towards the person I'm in a relationship with. And that can cause also the fear of attachment. If you cannot bear to live without someone, or any other kind of fears, they start consuming creative energy within the relationship. So people get tired when fear gets into the relationship. So again, follow those fears that I have mentioned in the examples before, because you are aware of these fears. You have to honestly look into yourself and really be aware, what emotions am I experiencing, because you are aware of those emotions, and you can decide whether you want to keep putting energy on fear or whether you want to put energy on love. There's only two options. And I hope that helps and gives you some more information about how we are emotionally different, unique, with people who have emotions defined, colored, brown in their emotional chart, or when the emotional center would be white, open. It is there to be learning and growing about other people's emotions, and those emotions can be amplified, just as I explained in the examples before. If you would like to have more examples, drop me a private message with your question, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. Yes? All right. Have a beautiful day here from Mama Bali, sending you much love and a blessed day. Any questions I already had? I had questions. Yeah, I'm saving it, so you will be watching it afterwards. Beautiful humans. All right, now there's not many questions here in the chat, so I'm not going to have to answer anyone. There was people saying this is probably exactly what I need to hear, but I can't watch it now. Can I watch it later? Yes, I will be saving it so you can watch it. As soon as you have time for it. Yes, all right. Beautiful day. Thank you. Much love and blessings from Mama Bali.